It's 5 minutes with Sean on May 5th. That's 5 minutes 5.5. I love it. Happy Cinco de Mayo to all. And I hope you are, if you're not at work, having a safe, fun time. If you are at work, hopefully you have plans to celebrate after work. All right, last week on the show, we talked about tariffs. We're going to lighten it up a little bit. It's not too much, though. We're going to lighten it up a little bit, though. We're going to start talking about something that's been coming up a lot for clients, for vendors, which is the concept of traffic versus leads. Now, if you go back to the archives of this show, you will find many, many iterations and discussions around the topic. It's a little different now because I want to touch on a specific conversation that I've been having, and it's about the max conversion versus the max click, right, of the beast that is Google. And one is automated, the other allows for engagement. All right. There are questionable conversions that come out of PMAX. I don't think I've ever said it publicly, but it's a fucking reality. If you look around at the information, it's real. It's happening to you. So here's the thing. Traffic is really easy to get. It just is. It just is. So max clicks, that's easy. I know it offers everyone all this opportunity to like manually adjust and do things. The problem is I don't know how many actually do that. The other big issue that I have is that when you go after max click, you load up on traffic for paid search. As a matter of fact, in this particular instance, a client a year ago would have had the same budget and got about 2,000 users. And this year will have gotten 10,000 users. More conversion last year than this year. And I know there are questionable conversion pieces on the phone call metric side. Sure, I get it. I factor that. If you're looking at your data consistently, you know what you're looking at. Data errors are part of data in automotive marketing. So I don't really give a shit. I call it out when I see it. Look, if you see a display ad produce 100 click-to-calls, you know it's fucking wrong. Don't, you know what I mean? Just keep moving. But the problem is most people are dashboard lookers. So they look at the dashboard and they're like, oh my God, look at all these green arrows. Oh my God, this is so great. Look at all these calls we had. And then I listen to vendors sit on calls with dealers and be like, oh my God, aren't we so great? We have all these calls. Are you kidding me? Do you know that half those calls came from a display campaign called Evergreen? If 100 calls came from a display campaign, I would never sell another thing but display advertising the rest of my life. But it doesn't. Okay? It's a weird glitch. It happens. GA4 is still a baby if we look at how long UA was around before we went to GA4. So, yeah, there are issues. But again, if you're not just looking at highline data in a dashboard and you're digging in contextually, you should know this information. You should. And when you talk to your client, what you should be saying is, whoa, huge spike in phone calls. Just so you know, a little bit of a Google error. We're seeing a little bit of issue here with our display campaigns. This might be our problem, as opposed to, aren't we wonderful? Like, give me a fucking break. Really, have a look at things because creating traffic is easy. Easy money. Getting leads, much harder. Much harder. Traffic, when put on a site, if you're going to go max click, you got to make sure you've got a tight and killer retargeting plan. Because best case scenario, you can keep those people in your web. Worst case scenario, they hit your site and they leave. Now, I'll ask you to look at your average time of engagement in GA4. Last year, this particular client had 1 minute and 52 seconds on a paid search element. This year, they had 35 seconds. You know the other big issue that a lot of advertisers are still having, and it blows my fucking mind, is they're not linked with your GA4. They're linked with their own, or they're linked with your website company if they provide one. They're linked with those. They're not linked with yours. And you know the easiest way to find this out? Absolutely easiest way is to – oh, hey, hold on a second. Can we do this on there? Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Is everybody seeing this on here? Oh my God, you are seeing it. Look at how wonderful this is. All right, really quickly. All right, well, there's my client listed. That's not cool, but we'll have the team take that out of the edit, hopefully. But what I want to show you here is right here. Paid search, first user campaign, organic. Your shit's not linked correctly. It's not linked correctly. Yeah, you'll get a ton of events, blah, blah, blah. 53-second overall on site. This is what we're talking about, people. And you know it's not set up correctly, and you know it's not linked because it says organic. Yep, they have other campaigns in here that work, but they don't. This one here doesn't, which means it's not linked, and it's the lion's share of the traffic, right? What does that have me at there? 33% of all traffic is not tagged to the correct campaign. That's a problem. Now, having done this as long as I've done it, I can tell you that the actual piece of it all is probably having all of that traffic, having it all be there, having it not be correct. The traffic that's there is probably VLA because it has a pattern, it has a way it does business, but some of that does fall into cross-network. And if you don't see cross-network listed in your analytics account, but you know you're paying for VLAs, it's because they're not linked to your GA4. That is that. Hopefully my team can take care of that. I feel bad now having shared that information, although my client's super cool and doesn't give a shit, but still, hopefully they can knock that out. Know the goal. Okay, so this particular client, what he wants to do, right, is he wants to sell cars. And everyone does. And so when he switches vendors, he does it to sell cars. He was sold on the concept they would sell more cars. Now he sees these traffic and everyone's patting their chest, man, oh, look at all the traffic, we're so great. And he's like, I'm not selling more cars. Plain and simple. Math is math to him, right? Budgets stay the same. Everything is the same. What is not the same is the vendor. So much of what we do in marketing is about building out that funnel. And paid search is a huge part of that. And that's a big place where people will get traffic. But I'll tell you again, if you want to see where your over-reliance lays in your marketing, look at March's data, okay, and see what your organic growth was for traffic, total traffic by channel, organic growth for March over February, okay? If you see something in the realm of 15, 20, 25%, 30%, you're doing it right. If you see less than 10%, 5%, or God forbid, negative growth in organic traffic, from specifically February over March of this year, if you specifically see that and you're doing paid search, you have an over-reliance on paid search. If you're not doing paid search and that happened to you, you have not dedicated enough time to your SEO. That's math. That is what we saw. And it's because of last week's show, tariffs, that everyone got pulled ahead. You saw it in the data. So if you didn't see strong organic growth February to March, you're paying too much for paid search or you're not paying enough for SEO. It's that simple. It's really that simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't go looking in other places. It's not that difficult to see when things are working and when they're not, when we have such an effort and opportunity of consumerism to come forward like we saw in March. Have a goal, have a plan. If the client wants to sell more cars, that needs to get more leads. If you're a max click strategy and a client says he wants more leads, you're going to have to find a way to work together to see if you can do what he wants to do and what you want to do to see if we can get more leads, because ultimately that is what it's about for them, ultimately. So if you see a huge spike in traffic and you don't see any lead growth and maybe you see negative, you got to start inspecting quality. Two easiest ways to inspect quality. One is through looking at the geography, making sure it's aligned with your geography. And two is the view I just showed you in what's called the first user campaign. It's an added feature at the plus sign there. Go down, cross channel, boom, first user campaign. It'll show all your campaigns right there. You can look to see how each individual one performs. It is the easiest way to find the answers, my friends. Hope you enjoyed today's, almost 9 minutes, basically of free advice, which I'm not really great about that. I don't really do that ever. But I'm glad I did it today because it's been a conversation happening a lot. And people say, well, what's your way? My way is typically max conversion, to be fair, because I want more leads. But if you're going to do that, you got to pay attention because AI is not perfect. Oh my gosh, think about that. All right, that's a wrap on this week. Next week on the show, I have a show motivated by a post that I saw about social media doesn't sell cars. It's going to be fun. We'll see you next week.